this video, I'm going to give you 10 ways that you can make Madden 23 a little more fun, challenging, and get you back into playing that game just like you were when you first started. Let's get into it. So if you're interested in videos like this, make sure that if you enjoyed this video to subscribe down below and like so that you never miss any other content like this in the future. Tip number one is, of course, gameplay sliders. If you're not using gameplay sliders, what are you doing? Madden has always at its base been a pretty bad game as far as gameplay goes. Things have usually always been a little too overpowered. For example, in this year, obviously the interceptions are a little bit overpowered, and then you have things like blocking, which is non-existent. So you need to have a good pair of sliders, and of course I have sliders all on my channel, from gameplay sliders, XP sliders, auto sub sliders, you name it. I've got you hooked up so that you can have a more rewarding, challenging, fun, and realistic Madden 23 experience. The second thing, change the way you kick the ball. I think one of the easiest things to do in Madden is kick a 55+ yard field goal. I mean, there's no challenge really in kicking even a 60-yard field goal. If your kicker's got like 95+ kick power, you pretty much can make it. But one thing that you can do to change this and make it a little bit more difficult is to not pull down on the trajectory meter. This will prevent you from being able to kick pretty much anything over 55 yards unless you have a kicker like Graham Gano or Justin Tucker. And to make things even more difficult, you can actually not even aim with the left analog stick, and you can just use the kicking meter to direct where you kick the ball. So if you place it on the left hand side of the meter, it's going to go to the left. You kick it to the right, it's going to go to the right. This will make kicking a lot more challenging. It'll make late game winning kicks, game tying kicks a lot more critical, and you're just going to overall get a lot more fun out of kicking and winning close games. Third thing you should do is limit the plays that you choose. You can actually go into gameplay settings and limit how often you can call a play and how long you have to wait until you call a play again. I think subconsciously, after we start playing Madden for more than a season or two, maybe in your franchise, or after you've been playing for a few months, you start to kind of get into a rhythm of using the same plays over and over again. And I don't think it's always intentional, but it can become a little cheesy to use plays you know are going to work and take advantage of the AI. And to prevent this, you can obviously limit which plays you can choose and how often you can choose them, which will make you have to access deeper parts of the playbook and learn different plays. This will make you obviously a better player because you will have to use plays you're not normally good with, and it'll make it a lot more challenging and prevent you from cheesing the AI from time to time. The fourth thing you can do if you play a lot of franchise mode is actually create storylines in your head. And this can sound a little corny, to be honest with you, but creating storylines for all your players, your draftees, giving them some type of story behind them is going to get you emotionally attached to them, making whether you re-sign them or not that much more interesting, and it'll keep you attached to your team in the long run. Believe me, it's something that you should do. Spend time trying to create some storylines for these players. It's going to keep you more involved in your franchise mode. The fifth thing is use XP sliders. Now, we already talked about making sure that you have good set of gameplay sliders, but XP sliders are really paramount if you're going to play more than 3 or 4 seasons in a franchise. Base Madden XP sliders usually overdevelop players, meaning that once you get 4 or 5 years into a franchise, every team's going to have a 90+ quarterback. Everyone's going to have really stacked teams. And what's the point of playing deep into a franchise if you can just easily build your franchise team? So with that, have a good set of XP sliders that really makes drafting good players critical, and that even if you do draft a good player who maybe doesn't have a good dev trait, chances are they're probably not going to be a 90 overall player unless you obviously hit one of those gameplay goals. The sixth thing that you can do is control only one player on defense after the snap. Usually I like to use middle linebacker or defensive line. Whether you like to use safety or corner is totally up to you, but once the play is hyped, you can't switch off of that player. This will allow the AI to kind of take over again, so that you can't automatically switch over and make a good play on the ball or intercept it. It'll also force interceptions not to happen quite as often if you're on defense. It'll also prevent you from constantly hit sticking players. Tackles will be broken more. There'll be bigger plays on defense against you. And again, this just makes the gameplay more challenging and more fun because you won't always be successful on every third down, short goal line percentage. You won't always force 3 and outs. The seventh thing is much like what we just talked about, and this is just controlling the quarterback and your running back on offense, meaning that if you're passing the ball, only control the quarterback. Once that ball leaves your quarterback's hands, don't do anything. Let the play unfold. Let the ratings take over. Let the animations take over. And again, with good gameplay sliders like those from my channel, you're going to have some really good, fun experiences playing Madden franchise. The second thing is that if you call a run play, of course, you're only going to use the running back. You're not going to switch off the running back, but that will be the only time you're not using the quarterback. The eighth thing that you can do to make Madden a little bit more fun is to change your difficulty and gameplay style. And you might say, well, I mean, of course, but a lot of people tend to not do this. They'll usually just stick with all Madden or all pro, but move up and down and modify the sliders because you will get a difference in gameplay. Also, change your gameplay style. If you play a lot of simulation, maybe switch to arcade. And if you play a lot of arcade, maybe switch to competitive. Each gameplay style really changes up the way the game is being played. Arcade obviously gives you high over-the-top plays with very minimal penalties, where simulation makes it a lot tougher to convert on big plays. The nice thing you can do is don't cheese the game. And this is obviously something that you've got to be consciously aware of. Don't go for it on 4th and 5 in your own territory. If it's a situation where you should punt the ball, punt the ball. If you choose a play and then don't think that it's going to work, don't audible out of it and put yourself in an advantageous situation against the defense. Unfortunately, in the NFL, teams do that, but in Madden, the AI is just not smart enough to again switch and make modifications based on your audibles. So do not cheese the game. Try not to go for it every time on 4th down. And the last tip that I can give you is actually use coach suggestions. If you're using everything else and then coach suggestions, you're going to have a lot tougher of a time moving the ball down the field. We know coach suggestions aren't always the smartest thing to use, but if you are going to only use coach suggestions, then you have to use one of the 3 plays that is provided for you. You can't fumble through the playbook in coach suggestions and then choose any of those plays. No. Once you click the button for coach suggestion, you can only use one of the 3 plays given to you. And another tip on that is that if it's a game plan place, meaning that if it's highlighted in green, you have to use that play. You have to prioritize that play first over any other play because you did game plan for it all week long in your weekly strategy. Why would you not use it? You get boosts. And because of all this stuff, add it up, you're going to get a more competitive game in Madden 23. It's going to be more fun. It's going to be more challenging. It's going to be more realistic. And it's going to keep you involved and immersed in your franchise playthrough. If you enjoyed all this content, if you learned something, make sure to hit that like button down below. And I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out.